Welcome everybody to this next edition of the Rogue Bakers Roundtable. I'm so excited for what you have right here in front of us. Man, we've been working weeks on this recipe. Started out with an email that was sent to us, or was it a Facebook post? Can't remember. I think it was an email sent to us about somebody who had made a sandwich loaf. We were talking about wanting to do a sandwich loaf on a live probably a little over a month ago. Excuse me. And then somebody sent us an email and said, hey, I made a sandwich loaf with this recipe, sent us the recipe. And when I started looking at the recipe and comparing the sandwich loaf recipe that this person sent, I can't remember their name, I'm sorry, I would give you credit, but it's off the top of my head, I can't remember. But they sent this in, and I was looking at the recipe, and the ingredients were almost identical to our typical 10-minute sourdough made easy method recipe that we've been using. And what I noticed was that the weight difference of the water that they had in their recipe was very close to the weight of the amount of butter and honey that they put in that recipe. Misty Ridge. Thank you, Misty, for sending that email.
Okay.
Huh?
Nope, sorry, that's the wrong one. You don't,
What? Sorry.
it's not olive oil, that's not the right one.
Brooke is looking up who it was that
Sorry,
sent that.
I'll find it.
Anyway, so when I noticed that the difference, it appeared to me that the difference in the two recipes between the normal, I don't even know if we have one here. This is a cut up artisan boule loaf. The normal round boule loaf that we normally make in sourdough, and this sandwich loaf, which is more like a traditional, I'm just gonna take this here and show you one that we've been eating for the last few days, so it's a couple days old. But your typical white, soft sandwich loaf that your kids are gonna wanna devour versus a crunchy, hard, dark, artisan round loaf, right? That's what we say when we mean sandwich loaf. So we saw the sandwich loaf recipe.
Sandy Miller.
Sandy Miller. Okay, Sandy Miller that shared the recipe with us. Thank you, Sandy, for that. And so what I did was I took our 10-minute sourdough made easy thing method recipe that we typically use, and I took out, or rather, when I was adding the water in, I put in a quarter or a half a stick of butter, which comes out to be, I think, 2 ounces of butter. Yeah, because a whole stick is 4 ounces. So a half a stick of butter, and then 22 grams of about 2 tablespoons of honey, and that much weight, right? The 2 ounces plus the honey was not quite, I think it's 0.8 ounces of honey for 22 grams. And I put that in, and then the rest of the water weight I substituted, or rather I put in the water, and that was the only change that I made. And when we took out the full weight of the loaf, or rather of the butter and the honey out in water, the loaf was a little bit too dense. And so over the last few weeks, it was a delicious loaf of bread. Don't get me wrong. It was absolutely fantastic. Kids loved it. It was so good that my multiple kids asked me in one way or another this question in one form or another, basically saying, can we make it like this from now on? So we have made far more sandwich loaf bread over the last month than we have our traditional boule loaves. In fact, I think we've only made 1 or 2 boule loaves for our family, right? Since we started this, we've made a bunch and sold them to customers, but mostly when we make bread for our family, we have been making variations of this sandwich loaf, changing various ingredients, trying to figure out how to get it just right. The biggest problem we had in the very beginning, when we just took the entire weight of water out in a triple batch, I think it was about 8 ounces of water. 8 ounces of water from our typical triple batch of loaf that we were taking out, and the dough was hard to form. It was hard. It was so dry when we were forming the loaf that it just didn't want to move. It was a harder dough to work with than typical. And so what I did in initial tweak in the next round of bread I was trying to make was I took a half of that weight of the 8 ounces and took it and put it back in. So I added a little bit more water, more hydration. And then I tried another one where I accidentally put in the butter amount of weight in honey. So I added way more honey than I normally did, and I just went with it and thought, well, maybe this will be a happy coincidence or a happy mistake, and we'll end up with a really good recipe. And it turned out that it was still good bread, but it was a little bit more dense, and it because of the caramelization of the sugar, it browned really fast. So the crust was really brown compared to the typical crust that we have here. So it browned way too fast. So definitely don't add so much honey. And then a couple of nights ago is when we tried one that really, we kind of nailed it a couple of nights ago. And then last night, I started a final test that we are going to determine the winner of between these two loaves. There is one difference in the ingredients that I've tried various different versions of, but the final test that we're doing between these two loaves is simply this: 1/4 of a cup of milk went into this loaf, whereas no milk went into this loaf. So last night I started 2 batches, and we've been tracking them all the way through in the oven and everything. One says milk, one says no milk, and so the only difference between these two is one has the milk in it. And so far, looking at these 2 loaves, I think that the only difference I can tell from the outside, which you may or may not be able to tell on camera, is the one in my right hand. This one is considerably darker. And so I think that the milk on all sides, it just seems to be a darker loaf. It appears as though the milk, that little bit of added milk helped it to darken up a little bit. But when we cut into these, which I'm going to go ahead and do now, Tommy, will you switch to this B-roll camera? When we cut into this, oh goodness, that almost hurt. We are going to be able to see differences in the crumb and or, which one do we think ends up better. The darker one is the milk one. That's this one here. And the lighter one is this one here. And once we kind of cut into this and try these, is like the main point of today's show is showing you the results of these 2 loaves of bread, cutting into the different loaves of bread, and then deciding what we think is going to be our number 1 go-to recipe. Either one of these loaves is an absolutely fantastic loaf of bread, no question. I just wonder, that little bit of milk, how much difference is that milk gonna make? So, moment of truth. We're going with the milk loaf, the darker loaf on the right. There's your crumb shot. Look at that.
Sandy Abrams is asking if you're going to share the recipe.
Yes, I'm going to give you every single detail in both ounces and grams, I think, where I have it. We might need some help with Chat GPT or whoever to do that.
Milk.
But look at that.
That's the milk one?
This is the milk one.
Yeah.
That looks like Wonder Bread. I mean, that's absolutely
Did you squeeze it?
amazing bread. Look at this.
It's so soft.
It is soft. It's just a squishy,
Show 'em the
soft.
crumb in there, the crust.
Huh?
Do it. Yeah.
The crust. This crust is a little darker, so it's kind of cracking a little bit, but it is. Oh my gosh. So the milk one is fantastic. All right, now here's the no milk one. Look at that.
I can already tell that's me. Just because I like the lighter crust,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, our preference.
So probably, you're gonna do, what's your vote? You're gonna go with no milk as your preference for the lighter crust sake?
And then it's also dairy free,
True. Well, it's got butter in it.
Oh, no, you're kidding. Yeah, just kidding.
Okay, so right hand is the dark milk crust. Left hand is the no milk.
And it got a little taller, right?
Did it? It is. It is taller. Is that just because maybe did you weigh it? No, I didn't mix it. I was thinking you separated it. No, but I mixed these exact same amount. Everything
So
is
less
same.
water in that one, right?
Slightly less water. 2 ounces less water. Quarter cup of milk, which is about 2 ounces if I did my math right. I think 2.2 ounces.
This one looks a little bit more holy, like the whole
Yeah.
slightly bigger.
It does look like it proved more better, and it might have kind of a softer, fluffier interior. You sure you want to trade a darker crust for I don't know. I think that added milk might it is. It's a bigger
Slightly.
loaf.
Slightly.
It proved a little bit more. Let's see. Let's take the other. See if those match up too.
Right, like a there. That looks the same.
Yeah, I think it just kind of shaped different, if anything.
Yeah, like I told you, one of them was the first time trying it that way, right?
So it could be based how you formed it could make
Yeah.
a little bit that much of a difference in how they shape.
I'm not sure. I think the milk one is the one I formed first.
So am I cutting pieces off to try that on
Yeah.
camera? Are you
Of course.
hiding behind the camera because
I
you're
am.
scared of the people today?
I'm not scared of the people. I have not showered.
You're scared of how you look
I am
today.
gross. I'm not scared. I'm just.
There's no
I
fear.
don't want to.
Just well, here, butter some.
You got the butter. It's still warm. Oh, this is the milk one, right?
That is the milk one.
I vote for milk. Maybe the sugar and the milk. Got the yeast a bit more.
Could be. I was
Yeah,
also thinking maybe
there's
the
sugar in the milk, so.
little bit of sugar, a little bit of fat. I mean, if you showed up with either of these, again,
Oh,
I'll go
gosh, yeah.
right hand here is milk.
It's still amazing either way.
Yeah, either one of those is just fantastic slice of bread. But I do think that little bit of milk is going to be the winner. I think adding the milk is the winner.
We might have been able to. This butter's a little bit.
Too cold.
We might have been able to cook the milk one a little bit less to get it less dark. I don't know, because we kept them covered the whole time.
Yeah, we kept them covered with the second pan. These are the pans that we cooked it in. That's one of the other things I like about this sandwich loaf is how well it bakes in these simple, inexpensive pans from Walmart versus needing a fancy Dutch oven to do the boule loaf. But we just set it in there with the parchment paper. We proofed it in here, so you also don't need bannetons or anything like that. Clearly, you could use the longer bannetons and do it in here if you wanted, but we literally shaped it, formed it, put it on the parchment paper, proofed it in here, scored it in here, put this lid on, and put it in the oven. And that's our process with this. Now we're going to do like our 10-minute video, we're going to do a 10-minute sandwich loaf where we do the timer and everything and show you how you can do this with no stretches and folds, no long kneading, no window pane technique, no active starter, all of the stuff that we do, breaking all of the rules of sourdough bread making and making this delicious sandwich loaf just as easily as you can make it the other. I mean, slightly more complicated because you're adding 2 extra ingredients, but other than that, it's gonna fit inside the same 10-minute effort window.
That's the non-milk. This is the milk.
This is non-milk.
Uh-huh.
That is milk.
Yep.
All right, let's try this.
It's still dang soft.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I think the softness is about the same, even though it's got a darker crust. That's not.
Non-milk. Milk. What do you think? I don't know that in a blind taste test I would be able to tell the difference
Yeah, I don't.
between them. Clearly that crust was a little darker. That could. It could be depending on which side of our oven it cooked in, because our oven's kind of
Wonky.
so it could just be darker because it was on one side or the other. However, if it was darker and on the right side of the oven, then it would probably cook even faster.
5x54 Live says, add one more to the milk vote.
I'm going with milk, personally. It does increase the expense. It does increase the difficulty of making the bread by adding that extra step of an extra ingredient.
The milk might ever so slightly be a crunchier crust. Just a little bit. Other than that,
Yeah. Like I said, you
I
show up at a party with either one of these, and you're the
I
you're the
honestly
star of
can't
the
tell.
show.
I don't think I can tell a difference.
I'm going back and forth eating. I don't think I can either. Maybe I just peeled that off. No, yeah, that's off the same piece. This is the other piece.
Tina Meredith says, oh wow, you guys are YL users. That's awesome. I've been with YL since 2012. You guys are amazing. I make bread every week and give some away. Everyone loves it.
Awesome. Yes, we've been with Young Living
2015.
2015.
10 years.
Hit platinum. Did really well. Traveled all over the world on our Young Living. It's been amazing. Been for us. So, I think I'm calling it. I'm saying milk. Let's give them the milk recipe. What do you think?
Tina says, do they taste different?
I can't taste a difference. They're both just...
Maybe if we did a taste test without butter, that would be easier to tell, but I don't think they really taste different.
Tommy, what are you on the A-roll? What camera's on right now?
The B-roll is the big one.
Cool. Go back to the other one.
There might be a slight preference flavor-wise for the milk.
You like the flavor of the milk better?
Again, it's like, minuscule.
Let's call it.
The non-milk does seem to be a little bit more dense, which may not be a bad thing for a sandwich loaf.
I go milk. That's my final answer. What's your final answer? You're going to veto me?
I'm going back and forth like you, trying to. I'm taking back what I said. I don't think there's a difference in flavor. But what I do notice the most is the density. The non-milk is definitely more dense, which is still delicious. But the milk one is a little bit more fluffy. It's not fluffy like, it's not big holes or anything like.
It's not an open crumb, but it's got a little more air in there, which is why it was looking at least a little taller.
Yeah, I think my vote's milk.
Okay, it's milk. Can you pull that recipe up and we'll give it to them, and we can have Tommy put it in the description.
Tracy says, I've done these very tweaks and found the milk to be tastier and spongier than the non-milk and better than adding olive oil versus butter. My family loves the loaf with milk.
Okay, there, confirmation from a fellow Rogue Baker.
Mama,
Thank you.
which I believe is Sandy who gave us the original recipe, says it looks fantastic. I'm no milk, LOL.
Uh-oh.
They're both fantastic.
Okay, here's our
I
recipe.
think you could just share both. of them.
It could clearly go either way. The only difference between these two recipes is a quarter cup of milk versus a quarter cup of water.
So it's easy to take this and do whichever.
Yeah, so if you don't have milk, don't let that stop you from making this
When
bread.
we type it out, we should put milk, parenthesis, or just more water.
Similar weight in water.
Right.
So let's give the folks this recipe. I'm gonna need some eyes to see that. So our single loaf recipe of for this sandwich bread. Drum roll, please. 4 this is what I did last night for this. 4.1 ounces of water. Sorry. Of starter. So you're starting, as always, cold, hungry starter straight from the fridge. I took this starter. It hasn't been fed. It's the same one that I used last night. So, you know, I used a little bit off the top of that. Has not been fed in, let's see, when's the last time we sold or sent a live starter? But it's been probably close to a week.
I was gonna say it was like Thursday or so.
So we're not talking about having to do a levain for sure, or float test, anything like that, where you got to get your starter super active or any of that. That's not what we're doing. We did not do that. I took it straight out of the fridge, cold, stirred it up, poured it in 2 different bowls, and made these. So each of them has 4.1 ounces of starter. The 0.1 does not matter. That's just, for me, it's a number. I like 41s because I almost died in a boating accident with 41-degree water, etc. 4 ounces of starter is fine. For me, it's 4.1. It's like a little prayer to God. Thank you for saving my life. Okay? Then we've got, and I don't know what the grams is on that. Can you look that up? Tommy, what's 4.1 ounces in grams? Can you Google that or GPT that, whatever? And then we did a half a stick, which is 2 ounces, because each stick is about 4 ounces. So a half a stick of butter. I did not melt it in the microwave, but made it really soft so that when the mixer or your hands...
16.23 grams.
What's that?
116.23 grams.
116.23 grams is the... how is that possible? If 168 grams is 2 ounces, how can 116...
Did you hear the number? I don't know.
One of these numbers is wrong. Yours or this one?
What's going on? Which what?
He said 116 grams is 4 ounces, but this says 168 grams is 2 ounces. Which one's right?
Well, see, I don't know.
I'm just gonna ask good old Google. Huh?
That's what all I asked.
4. $113.4 grams. Is that what you told me? That was 4.1 ounces though? Okay,
right.
So that's right. Clearly my 2 ounces is off. That would be, what's 2 ounces then? Half of that, 113. It's like 62, 66, something like that, 66.5. Oops, I missed it. Where'd it go? There we go. So this thing is off. Yeah, see that 168 is for the 6 ounces. I didn't change that late last night. So half a stick of butter, and then I did 0.8 ounces or 22 grams of honey, and then I did 7.2 ounces of water, 1 pound, 4.1 ounces of last night's was bread flour. I assume it would work just as well with all-purpose flour, but this is bread flour. And then 2.2 ounces or 1/4 cup of milk, cream or half and half. I bet you that cream would be the best, personally. It would be my assumption. And then 20 grams or 0.7 ounces of salt. Mix all that up in the mixer. Let it sit out on your counter overnight for, it was under 12 hours for us last night, but we had kind of a warm, it was about 80 degrees when you were forming that in here. So at about an 80-degree kitchen, maybe slightly less than that earlier, in the middle of the night, it took less than 12 hours for this to proof and be ready for us to form it. She formed it into this, and then it was not quite 2 hours, I think, for a second proof.
Yeah, it was about an hour and 45.
It got just a little bit above the edge of this before we put it in the oven. Scored it and put it in the oven. Now, one thing to think about. A couple nights ago on Sunday, Saturday night, I should say, I did another kind of test, and we took a triple batch of this to her mom's house, her parents' house, for a little party thing, whatever. Baked it there. Now, what we normally do when we do this, because their house is just under 2 hours away, is we form the loaf and we let it second proof on the way there, so it's ready to throw in the oven as soon as we get there. Unfortunately, there was this massive accident where a couple of gas tankers crashed, and we had to go on this major detour, and so it was closer to 3 hours by the time we got there, and the bread had risen to the point where it was starting to stick inside of the, so it was way, the point is, it was like way above, it was like way up here when I put that in the oven when we got to her place. They were way bigger and airier, so you can actually let them second proof.
It's still delicious, because brother-in-law that's carnivore,
right,
has had 4 pieces of it.
Right, so you can let it proof bigger, and it will get bigger if you give it time to get bigger. Yeah. And when we baked it, I was afraid it was going to collapse in the oven, but it didn't. It baked up nice and big and tall. Yeah. Those loaves were really big and tall. So I'm saying that to say you can let this proof, and you can have a bigger, higher, airier loaf, and it didn't overproof and collapse as quickly as some other stuff may have. So anyway, we baked it at 375. We set the timer for 41 minutes just to be sure, and it's never been done that soon.
No.
However, our oven is on the fritz, so your oven might bake just right at 41 minutes if it heats up and bakes better than ours.
Well, we also don't preheat.
And we don't preheat, so yeah, same thing. No preheating the oven like other recipes will tell you to do. We do everything as easy as possible here. So I would say it was at least 60 minutes.
Yeah,
on all of these.
Say it was roughly 60. Yeah.
On all these loaves, it took about an hour for them to bake and reach. The point is to use a thermometer and get the internal temperature to 200 degrees in order to make sure that it's not gummy inside.
It also gives you a visual when you pull it out, because sometimes it is.
Yeah,
gummy.
sometimes it is gummy and sticky, even doughy still inside, and you might think it's done, but it's not quite done. So yeah, that's the recipe I'm going to run down, because it kind of took me a minute to figure out that I messed up on my documentation here. I'm going to run down it real quick for those of you that want to write it down. 4 ounces, for me, 4.1 ounces a starter. Thank you, God, for saving my life. Half a stick or 2 ounces of butter, which, what is that, 57? If it's 113 grams for 2 ounces, sorry, yeah, no, 113 grams for 4 ounces, it's 57. So 4 ounces of starter, like 56 to 57 grams or 2 ounces of butter, 22 grams or 0.8 ounces of honey, 7-ish ounces of water. For me, I put 7.2 here just because that's what ended up in the bowl, and I didn't want to scoop it out. And then 1 pound, 4.1 ounces of bread flour. Sorry, I don't know what those grams are, but in the description, if you're watching this, later than right this second live, in the description, all this will be written. You can go and find this recipe in the description of the video. And then 2.2 ounces, a quarter cup of milk, cream, half and half. I tried it with half and half, and it worked great. A few weeks ago, we tried it with cream. It tasted great. We were still messing with the other hydration levels, though. So, and then 0.7 ounces or 20 grams of salt. Bake at 375 for somewhere between 40 and 60 minutes, depending on your oven. Check to the internal temperature at 200 degrees, and you will have a beautiful sandwich loaf just like this. 10-minute sourdough made easy sandwich loaf. There's your recipe. That wraps up kind of the teaching portion, if you will, of this call. If you do make that, let us know that you made it and how it went. Leave a comment or whatever. And other than that, any comments that have come in so far, we can shift into the Rogue Bakers Night portion of the call. This is where we, specifically stop and take time to answer your questions, take time to celebrate with you, take time to help you with anything you're struggling with. So yeah, what do we got?
Mamai says both look gorgeous. Maybe the milk with a laughing emoji. Nikki says my autistic child prefers white, soft, square bread, as she calls it most, but she does eat a traditional sourdough bread, so I will try this one for her. Absolutely.
Yeah. And you can get perfectly square bread if she's really definitely
pans.
needs. You can get a Pullman pan, which is like a loaf pan like this, but actually has a lid that slides over it, and it literally bakes into a perfect square piece of bread. If it literally has to be perfectly square, you can get Pullman pans and make perfectly square pieces of bread.
Mamai says I need your milk recipe, B&K, which you just went over.
Okay.
5x54 life. I am gonna try both and have the family do a blind taste test.
Nice.
Mamai, don't get mad. I didn't score mine. Is it a must? We just like the
when we didn't score the first one, it just expanded a big blowout on one side, and every time it has expanded so much, I just that if we didn't score it, it would not look as good. So yeah, that's the reason that we didn't score the first one, and it just kind of blew out and didn't look great. And managing the expansion is the reason that we score it, and I think it looks a little prettier.
You can't see it in this picture, but well, you kind of can. I don't know. Anyway,
yeah, sure. Yeah. So I took these pictures. Phone isn't tilting. Anyway, that's the picture of the first loaf that we tried when we didn't score it, and you can see it's lifted up on that far side that you can't see, but all the expansion happened on that far side, and it doesn't look as good, I don't think, as a nice split open intentional loaf. So score it, don't score it, the bread's gonna taste just as good. It just might look a little prettier if you help manage where it expands out at.
Nikki said, sorry, how many ounces of flour was that? I don't know if we...
1 pound, 4.1 ounces of flour is our standard sourdough made easy method. Everything we make has that much flour in it. So that's where our... and it's like 560 or 556 or something like that grams. I can't remember exactly what it translates to in grams.
Sandy said, what temp, how long? Did you say what temp you did, right?
Yeah, 375, about an hour. Maybe more, maybe less, depending on your oven. You're going to want to have a food thermometer to check the internal temperature, get it to 200.
Richard Holt says, I really like the 10% butter milk. I also use over 10% butter.
10% buttermilk and over 10% butter? Is that what he said? Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool. I think we could try a buttermilk version of this.
Yeah,
that'd be
absolutely.
fun.
Yeah. Mamai says, hi, Isaiah. Sandy Abrams, when did you take the lid off? We did not.
Yes, we did not. We are always, even on our typical artisan loaves, we like the crust about as light as possible. So every time we went in to check the internal temperature and decide when to take the loaf off, it was already starting to get a little darker than we would probably want. So every time we've the whole time, just get it all the way up to that internal temperature, and then the crust is softer and
after you bag it and let it sit in a bag for a while, it gets softer.
It gets even softer.
Yep,
yeah,
that crust does. Yep. Sharon Riley says flour is 566 grams.
Thank you.
Richard says a stick of butter weighs 114 grams. Nikki says, I'm proofing 2 36% whole wheat loaves. You wrote the recipe.
Yes. That's the next thing I'm going to try on this one.
Yeah.
Is I'm going to do this, but when you put in the flour in, I'm going to put 36%, and I'm going to see if I can't make a wheat sandwich loaf. Of course I can. I'm going to see how a wheat sandwich loaf turns out. I'm assuming, because when we make our artisan loaves, again, if we're making it for our family, we make that 36% whole wheat more often than we make the typical white. I assume we will enjoy the flavor of the 36% whole wheat
that flavor
sandwich loaf. So this week, my hope is to record a video and have it edited for this loaf, now that we have nailed down this final experiment our official recipe that we're saying with the milk. We're going to do a full video showing this start to finish using the 10-minute, idea as far as having a timer showing you that it takes less than 10 minutes to make this loaf. And then one of the next videos I'm going to do after that, maybe even on a Rogue Bakers before, is the 36% whole wheat sandwich loaf. So keep an eye out for that. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and you'll get to see that. Wow, there's a cat in here.
Whole week overnight rule.
That's so good. It is so good.
And that's your last comment as of right now.
Awesome. Let's try and think. What else have we made? Anything out of the ordinary this week we want to share? Anybody got questions as far as just general sourdough stuff, or questions as far as rehydrating a starter, or anything you're having issues with? We had a Facebook. One of our viewers, one of our community reached out to me on Facebook asking about their starter. It's too hot. This was where she's at. She hasn't wanted to bake on her for like 6 months, and a whole bunch of black pooch. She was mold. They learn. If you get to a point where you go months without baking, and your starter is sitting in your fridge, waiting cold and for you to come back to it, and it grows a layer of liquid on top that is
just liquid, no fuzz.
That's a black or a dark, colored liquid. As long as there's no fuzz on it, you might initially think that is mold. It's not. It's just hooch. It's like a dormancy thing. Your starter basically saying, "I'm starving, please feed me," and you can scoop it off if you want. We always would just stir it in and
My
feed
understanding,
it.
that's like the ferment,
Right. Stir it in and feed it. And your starter will bounce right back, no problem. She was very happy to learn that. She thought she was going to have to order a new one or start over.
When we finally
and
started.
and that's the way we started. We bought a starter from a local baker. It was a 90-year-old starter, and we were like, "Woo, we're going to try sourdough." And then it's in our fridge for 6 months while we watched videos, being completely overwhelmed by how difficult sourdough was supposed to be. We came across his 10 method, and we that process that we do. The rest as guys getting viewers over the sourdough because of how hard everybody else made it out.
I'm so good at chess.
Mamai says 36% whole wheat. Yahoo!
Yeah, it's good. It's my favorite artisan loaf recipe for sure. And we've done it sweet. We've done it with cinnamon raisin. We've done sweet version, savory version, everything with that 30% whole wheat. And it's so.
The raisin of these that we made, because that was really yummy.
Have
Did you talk about that yet?
I don't know. We did do it was the other. We did higher hydration though. We made this with low hydration. We put cinnamon raisin in it. We also made not jalapeno cheddar. Cheddar everything version
that our guest got.
That we sold to a guest.
Yeah.
And they said it was great. So yeah.
So far, reports have been great. So the reviews or whatever you want to call it.
It's a fantastic loaf of bread.
Yep. Nikki says, do you have a website that has all of your recipes?
All of our recipes? No. I have a website that has some. You just like to our playlist or our main, channel. We have recipes, just plain videos with recipes.
And most of them have the recipe written in the description too, right?
Most of them do. I'm not the most organized guy.
I try.
Do blog posts with recipes on there.
SourdoughMadeEasy.com.
SourdoughMadeEasy.com. But we do have all of the recipes that we have published have been on our YouTube channel.
This is another good point that I had forgot about. Sharon Riley said you mess up the hydration if you pour off your hooch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you understand that
that's your liquid.
Right, your starter has a percentage itself, and if it's 50-50 equal hydration, then it's not going to mess up hydration of your loaf. But if you pour off a whole bunch of liquid on top, it lowers the hydration of your starter, and it becomes a heavier, thicker starter that's going to throw off the bread. And just a 4 ounce, was it 4 ounce? It was 4 ounces for the whole 3 loaf batch. So just a few ounces of water difference in this loaf makes a huge difference in how it forms and the end result. So I would go with never pour off the hooch. I don't ever. Some people do. They just kind of get grossed out by it. It's not going to make that much of a difference from the standpoint of we do it. We don't ever feed the starter until we run out anyway. And once you're out, hydration, you feed it again. It's a huge deal either way. It might mess up 1 or 2 loaves.
A huge starter.
It might mess up 1 or 2 loaves worth, but the way we do it anyway, with the next time you feed it, you will be resetting the hydration anyway because you ran out. That's the way we feed. It's when you run out.
Nikki, in response to the recipes, works too.
Yeah.
That's it.
Awesome. If we don't have any more questions, we will move along, but I am so thrilled to have this recipe out. We've been talking about how much loaf I've seen people make.
Oh, yeah.
Does it really make that much difference? Butter and a little bit of honey. Holy crap, it does make a huge difference. Adding a little bit of butter and honey to I wish I had an artisan loaf sitting here just so we could show like a side-by-side crumb shot comparison.
That's not, is it?
I mean, it is, but that's one that we burned, so you hacked off the bottom and sides that were burnt. So
be real.
I mean, it is. We can see it, I guess. We burnt this loaf, so
I cut the bottom off, and then I cut some of the top off.
She sliced the bottom. You can see the burnt stuff there, which actually most people would just consider it done.
Yeah.
Because most people, I think, burn their sourdough. Yeah. So anyway, there's kind of a crumb shot difference
not showing right now
between the two. This is many days old, right?
Yeah.
So it's nice and dry and dense compared to this just out of the oven fresh one. But
yeah.
So anyway, thank you everybody for joining us. We will wrap things up here today. If you have any questions or comments and you're watching this after that, of course, feel free to mention or comment below, and we will finish those or we will respond to those. And if you want to join us in a more interactive social environment with everybody, then you can join us on our Facebook group, Sourdough Made Easy, or join the challenge with Rogue Bakers and become a Rogue Baker with us. That'd be exciting too. You're raising your hand because there's another comment over there.
5x54 Life said thank you both, but I had something else.
Okay.
I want to try pasta.
Yes.
That's one of those things that's been like,
Get over your fear of pasta and just start getting flour on you. Cowgirl up and make some pasta. I bet it's just as easy as
I know, right? It seems
bread.
Really easy. It's like 3 ingredients again.
Right. I mean, we came close to making pasta when we made Grandma's apple dumplings. So
maybe I can convince you to give me a
roll it out a little thinner.
Roller machine.
Convince you to get a pasta roller.
Yeah.
Maybe. Any other comments?
Nope.
Okay, we will be trying pasta soon, because anytime my wife says, I want to figure this thing out, that becomes a new Rogue Bakers in the next couple of weeks. So maybe we'll do pasta next week or the week after. Who knows? That'll be a fun one. All right. Okay, everybody. Thanks again for joining us. We will see you next week. Same time, same place. And we'll talk to you then. Thanks, everybody. Bye.